Hey, what's up, everybody? I want to welcome you to another episode of the Dreamers Pro Daily Recap, where we give you a recap of all of the hot topics that we covered that day. You can catch them in their long format and also catch it fully streaming for free on Apple Podcasts. So Shannon Sharpe recently did a sit down with Clippers head coach, former Cleveland Cavaliers head coach, Tyronn Lue. And they discussed a bunch of things. They spoke about Kobe Bryant. They spoke about the Shaq and Kobe dynasty, the relationship. He asked him how many championships does he believe that they could win if they had played together. He spoke about Tracy McGrady's comments. But inevitably, the conversation would ultimately shift towards Shannon Sharpe's favorite player, LeBron James, right? And they started talking about LeBron's career, what it was like coaching him in the Cavs, talk about coming back from 3-1 down, back from being down 3-1 or whatever. So they spoke about all of these things. Now, one of the biggest knocks on LeBron throughout the course of his career is that he's a stat padder, right? LeBron figured out a mechanism in which he can save himself from criticism, which is if he notices that his team is not going to do well, is going to lose, he just searches his own stats. So at the end of the game, people won't be able to point to him and say, well, LeBron is the reason, like, you didn't play well, because he can say, well, look at my stats, right? I've even seen games where Lakers are playing live. Some LeBron fans are covering him, and the Lakers will start losing. And the LeBron fan will be like, well, LeBron, it's time to start stat padding, man. Get those stats. Get those stats. They know, right? LeBron fans know. So this has been one of his things. So essentially what happened was there was a time, I think it was in Game 4, Game 5 in the NBA Finals, where the Cavaliers apparently were not doing enough. And they went into the locker room, and Ty Lue had this heated back and forth with LeBron James. And he was like, I need you to do more. I need you to play harder. I need you to play more defense. And then LeBron goes to him and goes, but I have 20 points. I have this and this and this. He's like, that's not enough. And it turned into this heated conversation between him and LeBron. LeBron started griping to his teammates about what Ty Lue said. Can you believe he said this, Bobby? Can you believe he said? Because maybe other coaches be like, well, he has his stats. What else do you expect him to do? And Ty Lue was like, no, I know what you're doing, but you can do more, right? You can give more effort on defense. You can do this. You can do that. And I'm like, Ty Lue doesn't realize that he's exposing LeBron James for being a stat padder. So what I want to do now is I want to play what Ty Lue had to say to Shannon Sharpe here on, Club Shay Shay, and then I'm going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to Ty Lue's comments here.
If you play Golden State the way they play, their pace and how fast they play, you don't know until you're in it.
Right.
You can't go to practice and work on stuff.
You can't replicate that.
Can't do it. And so I saw that when you switching everything, they're going to pick you apart.
Right.
Like Draymond with his passing, Steph and Clay with their movement, like you just can't switch everything. And so after Game 4, I was like, listen, when Steph and Clay come together, splits and all that, we switching it. Anybody else, you stand locked in. So it won't be no confusion. If we make a mistake, we're going to make a mistake on, the other guys.
Yeah.
We ain't going to make a mistake on these guys. And so it worked. Like J.R. and Shump locked in Steph and Clay. Like if you guard Iguodala, Livingston, you pushing up, you just protecting, and like it changed our whole series. Like it changed it. And then the performance that Bron and Kyrie had in Game
6.
No.
Game 5. They
Game
both
5,
scored 41.
Yeah. And in the Game 5, and like going home for Game 6, like I thought we warmed down. And then Game 7, you got the best player in the world going into Game 7. You got to love your chances.
Right.
So that's, kind of what happened.
Was it ever a situation that you had because it's hard because you got a LeBron, man, or any great player to like, bro, I need more from you. You got to give me more.
Yeah, halftime of Game 7. Yeah, halftime of Game 7. We come in the locker room and like they said, we're going to show a film. I said, no, ain't no film. Like, so I came and said, Bron, what you going to do, man? I said, what you mean? So you got to do more. Like, you got to be better. Like, what you want me to do, T. Lue? I'm like, because he had 20 points and might have had 7 assists. But he left a lot on the table to me.
Right.
And this is Game 7. You're the best player in the world. I was like, we need – what you want me? I said, you got to guard Draymond better, score the basketball, stop turning over, be aggressive. Anything else you want me to say? So he maddened him up, right? So I go in the office, I slam the door. So later, after we, it was over, Damon Jones said, Bron came to him like, man, can you believe T. Lue, man, called me out like that? That's some bull, whatever. D. Jones said, well, I ain't been here all year, but everything I read and you called and told me, you trust him. Why not trust him now? He's like, F you. So he go to James Jones. James Jones, can you believe T. Lue? Man, I can't believe it. James Jones said, did he lie? So then Bron snatches Steph out of the locker, storm out. And that's all she wrote,
Fantastic. So you heard what he had to say. What are my thoughts about this? This surprises nobody. right? LeBron even walked around with a T-shirt a number of years ago, like 10, 12 years ago, whatever it was, talking about check my stats. All right, LeBron is a stat patter. Like, there's no question. Nobody's saying he's not a great player. Nobody's not saying he's a Hall of Famer. Nobody's saying he's not top 10. I'm not saying any of those things. You know how they used to call Kobe Bryant a ball hog or a shot chucker, or Kobe Bryant had the propensity to take bad shots? Yes, he did have the propensity to take bad shots. I accept that. As should you guys accept the fact that LeBron James is a stat patter. For them to be in the heat of competition in the NBA Finals, and your coach is saying to you, I need more from you. I need more. And you're like, Coach, what else do you want me to do? Look at my points. Look at my stat line. He's like, that's not enough. It's not enough. So for him to point to his stats in a moment like that means what? You're counting your stats? You're paying attention to your numbers? If I was an NBA player, which I'm not, but I'm very, very competitive, my focus is winning. My focus is winning. I don't care how we do it. We got to win. I'm a very competitive person. I just don't say it or whatever it is, but I'm very competitive. And my goal is, are we winning? I come from the Kobe Bryant school where I remember where Kobe would score this amount of points, average this amount, but if you don't win, who cares? Who cares? The year Kobe won the MVP in 2008, it was fantastic. Great. Wow, he did it. But he lost in the finals. It ruined my summer. I don't walk away from that summer talking about, well, at least you won the MVP. No. The goal is to win. And every year that Kobe Bryant and the Lakers didn't win, I was disappointed. Yes, was I paying attention to his stats and all of that stuff throughout the regular season? Yes, I was. But ultimately, if it didn't culminate in a championship, then it was for naught. In my view. Right? So this thing about stats and all of that, Ty Lue basically said what we already knew. And he started throwing a hissy fit that he can't believe he said this to me, can't believe he said that to me, which kind of explains how LeBron probably operates with some of his coaches, where you can't talk to him. Charles Barkley is once again making headlines. And today he's talking about the two biggest road runners in the NBA, and Kevin Durant and LeBron James. Kevin Durant, who went on LeBron's podcast, was talking about Michael Jordan. He ran away from the competition. Some guys played for 33 years and other guys just quit. That guy, those guys, laughing about running from the grind. Those guys, just imagine those two. Well, Charles Barkley recently made headlines yesterday when he was calling out Adam Silver in the NBA by essentially saying that, look, these guys don't give a damn about us, right? They don't give a damn about us. So yesterday, I came across an article and I said, you know what? Let's cover it today, right? Let's cover it today. We're not going to talk about it. Let's talk about it today. And this article is from Basketball Network with the following headline saying this. Don't get mad at Adam Silver because you don't want to play and compete. Charles Barkley blames LeBron James and Kevin Durant for the second apron. Barkley blasts the super team era for creating the second apron. Folks, you want to hear what Barkley had to say. Excellent. So let's get into what he had to say here. It says, one of the biggest differences between the CBA and today's NBA and the past is the involvement of the second apron, which is a higher salary threshold that discourages a team from spending more once they exceed the general cap space. In retrospect, the second apron was implemented to prevent superstars from forming super teams and creating an uneven competitive field. Now, let me read what he said. Why did they have to come up with the BS rules, Bill? Because all these guys want to play together and not compete. How many great players do we need in one team? Barkley said on his appearance on the Bill Simmons podcast. He then continues on. They made up these rules. These young people, well, if I had $1 for every time I heard the second apron, why did Adam Silver have to put the second apron in? Because LeBron wanted to get all of his guys together. KD wanted to go play with the Warriors. Wait, y'all don't want to win a championship and compete against each other? He added. And then it continues on. Adam Silver had to do something. We can't let one team hoard all the good players. They had Clay, Steph, and Draymond, and they didn't need KD, Barkley stated. Don't get mad at Adam Silver because y'all wanted to play together and dominate the league because y'all don't want to compete. Those were his comments. I want to take it a step further. And let's just get a quick a summation of the second apron. I asked the question, can you sign a max player under the second apron? It says, no, a team operating under the NBA second apron generally cannot sign a player to a max contract because the second apron rules impose significant restrictions on spending and team building, making it difficult to acquire high-cost players while remaining below the threshold. Now, there's another question I asked, which was the NBA apron restrictions. It says, NBA apron restrictions are financial limitations placed on high-spending teams to promote competitive balance, imposing penalties and restricting roster moves as teams go beyond the luxury threshold. Now, there was an article that was published by Yahoo Sports, and it says explaining the second apron, a key financial rule in the NBA CBA. Now, I just want to get to the meat and potatoes of it. It says the following. It says, what are the second apron penalties in the NBA? And it says also, what is the second apron amount in the NBA? So it says, entering the 2025-26 season, the salary cap is projected to be $154.6 million, and the luxury tax is projected to be $187.9 million, according to ESPN. The first apron is set at $195.9 million, and the second apron is at $207.8 million, higher by $17.8 million from 2024-25. Now, it now talks about the restrictions. It said the first apron. Okay, let's get to this part. Sign and trades are not permitted if the player acquired keeps the team above the apron. Cannot sign players who were waived during the regular season if their salary was above the $12.12 million mid-level exception. Salaries matching in trades has to be within 110% instead of 125% teams in good standings. We get to the second one. Includes all first apron penalties, cannot have access to MLE in free agency or absorbing contracts, cannot trade first round picks from 7 years out, cannot use trade exceptions from previous years, cannot use cash in trades, first round pick moves straight to the end of the first round if the team stays in the second apron for 3 of the 5 years. Now, do you remember when they were discussing about, LeBron James could potentially go play with the Dallas Mavericks, or he can go play with the Cleveland Cavaliers, or he can go play with the Clippers and all of that stuff, right? Do you know the reason that the Cavs could not sign LeBron James even if they wanted to? You can't have more than 3 players on a team with max contracts. So LeBron playing on that team with a max contract, they couldn't just go into the luxury tax and spend exorbitant amount of money to make their team unbeatable. Now, why would they have done that? The reason they did that was because of these 2 road runners that Charles Barkley was referring to. Jack and Jill. These 2 jokers that were laughing at Michael, talking about Michael Jordan ran from the grind. He ran from the grind. At least when Jordan ran, according to y'all, he had 3 championships under his belt. How many championships you and LeBron had when y'all ran? How many championships you had, KD, when you ran? How many championships did LeBron have when you ran to Miami? And y'all up there snickering and hollering and giggling like a pack of hyenas. Just laughing it up. Laughing it up. So Charles is saying, why do y'all want to play together? You dudes were the ones that ruined the competitive balance in the NBA. But what these jokers try to call it is player empowerment. Because they didn't want to call it that these dudes ruined the NBA. So instead of saying that, they couch it as, it's player empowerment. That's what Charles Barkley's talking about. As y'all know, Skip Bayless is back in the mix, right? He's back in the mix. He's now a contributor on Gil's Arena, The Gridiron, the NFL show. I've watched a little bit of it, but I don't really follow NFL news, so it doesn't really stand out to me the way people that follow NFL content would, but the show seems to be doing fantastically well. So some of the episodes that they published have done really, really good. So then I was going through the internet this morning and I found some comments that Skip Bayless made about LeBron James. So initially I'm like, well, he was on Gridiron to talk football, so I know he wouldn't have talked sports, basketball, but apparently it was a show that he published on his channel, I think a day or so ago. And he was essentially saying that the Lakers just delivered LeBron James the final slap in the face to let him know that you're no longer welcomed here. And I'm like, what is Skip Bayless talking about? Well, as you guys know, the Lakers didn't offer LeBron James a contract extension. And I was under the impression, and I'm sure LeBron was as well, that he was going to get a contract extension. When you see guys like James Harden getting contract extensions, one would have thought that he would have got one too. At least that's, I'm sure, what he thought. He made an All-NBA team last year. I think third All-NBA team or second one of those teams. So a lot of people felt like he was worthy of it. So it must have been a shock to him and his team when the Lakers said, no, we're going to be moving on, which basically ended his time in LA with the Lakers. So after this season, there is no more LeBron James. So the Laker fans can now finally get their organization back, right? And with the new management that came in, you can see that this has to be coming from them. Because had it been the older guys, they'll let LeBron play till he's 50. They'll let it play till he's 50. But these new guys seem to be serious, and they're like, no, enough is enough. Enough is enough. It's time to get serious. Enough of the nonsense, right? And then you had that news. Then the team sold the team. And LeBron James wasn't in the loop on that. Then they started having public meetings with Luka discussing the future of the team, and LeBron wasn't even invited to that. And LeBron fans started getting upset. They weren't happy with the Lakers, and they started wishing the Lakers bad. And one of the things that they were hoping for was that Luka Doncic wouldn't sign an extension with the Lakers. And then once he did, they just went into they just fell into a total depression. So I tuned into Skip's show to see what he was talking about. Well, apparently, when Luka was playing in the Eurobasket tournament, apparently the Lakers management flew out there. They flew all the way out there, I think to Poland or one of these countries, to go watch Luka play to show him their support. And Skip Bayless believes that this is the final slap in the face to LeBron James on his way out. So what we want to do is want to play what he had to say here on his show, and then we're going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to Skip Bayless here.
I conclude with why I again feel very sorry for LeBron James. I just read in The Athletic that Jeannie Buss and Rob Pelinka and Linda and Kurt Rambis and the Lakers director of player performance and health all flew all the way to Poland to show their support for Luka playing in the Eurobasket tournament. What? Man, was that cold. That was just openly taunting LeBron. That was all but dancing on LeBron's NBA grave. Rob Pelinka even referred to Luka as the face of the franchise. Whew, that's funny. LeBron is still the face of the league. Still the most beloved player in all of basketball. Most beloved and popular player in all of basketball is LeBron James, but obviously the Lakers brass has made it clear as broken glass that the Lakers brass did not want LeBron to opt in for his, $52.5 million this coming season with the Lakers. Obviously, they wanted him to take his talents elsewhere on the free agent market. And obviously, Jeannie and Rob were not pleased with LeBron's brazen social media posts of him, as you remember, working out in the Cavs facility. Uh-oh. And then at the Clippers facility out here in L.A. Oh. No. Jeannie and Rob just rolled their eyes at LeBron and his billions of followers, and they said, okay, watch this. And they flew all the way to Poland to show their support for Luka playing in a tournament that most NBA fans don't carefully, closely follow. I mean, that was just cold. That was just in your face, LeBron James. I mean, LeBron is still the all-time leading NBA scorer ever. And now he's been forced to enter into a Cold War with the management of the team he still plays for. The team I think he's loved playing for the most of all the teams he's played for. I think he feels like he was born to be a Laker and to retire a Laker out here in Hollywood. But somehow, I don't think LeBron will be allowed to stay in games as long as he wants next season. No more of these take himself in, take himself out. No more 35 minutes a night. Now LeBron's good friend JJ Redick will have to say, no, sorry, Bron, you have to sit. Jeannie and Rob ordered it. So I can't help feeling sorry for LeBron James. He's finally lost all of his leverage. If he does want to play another season or even 2 more seasons after this one, it obviously will have to be as something other than a Los Angeles Laker. Whew, never thought I'd see the day.
So you heard what Skip Bayless had to say. Who disagrees with this? Who disagrees with it? Look, LeBron fans have been crying and bawling in the corner all day. How could you do this to King James and all of these different things, right? The Lakers don't care. The Lakers don't care. They're like, bro, your time is up. Your time is up and it's time to exit stage left. We've seen enough of this iteration. We've seen enough. And LeBron fans are not happy about it. Meanwhile, they were complaining about the Lakers are not a serious team for the past 5 years. Oh, Rob Pelinka doesn't know what he was doing. He doesn't know this. So then why you want to be on the team? Why are you mad? Why are you mad? Why are you mad? And now they've put him in a position where he has to retire unless he just decides to go play with some other team. And Rob Pelinka said he would like for LeBron to retire in a Laker jersey, but whether he decides to or not is basically his bloody business. They don't care anymore. They've moved on. And that must be a tough pill to swallow, coming from a fan base that has been used to having their balls coddled and getting hot stone massages from the media for the past 23 years. It must be a wake-up call. It really must be. Some pretty disturbing news dropped out of the NBA, where Pablo Torre basically dropped a story where it was going after the Clippers' Kawhi Leonard and Clippers owner Steve Ballmer for basically trying to pay Kawhi Leonard under the table through some kind of like shell company or something, some company that wasn't really functional, and pay him $28 million to essentially do nothing as a way to circumvent the NBA salary cap. So it became this big story. People reacted to it. We reacted to it as well, right? Although one, I don't even know what to call this guy. Man, I know that you ain't talking about Kawhi Leonard. Meanwhile, he was like 6-7 hours late, not realizing we had already discussed it. But when I spoke about it, I was a bit apathetic about it. I was like, okay, man, like whatever, man. If they did something wrong, let them pay the penalty and let's move. I don't care one way or the other. So I woke up this morning and I came across some news from Awful Announcing where apparently former Dallas Mavericks majority owner Mark Cuban called out Pablo Torre for essentially misrepresenting the situation, and he said that this situation won't end well for Pablo Torre. And I'm like, wait, what? He went on Twitter and he posted about it. But I think it's important that we give people kind of a basic summary of what Pablo's findings were, because it can be quite complicated and there are a lot of moving parts. So yesterday he went on the Dan Patrick show to essentially explain his findings and explain basically what this whole story is about. So take a listen to Pablo here explain everything on the Dan Patrick show.
And the stuff here is kind of wild. This is a story that started because of a company called Aspiration, which no one really remembers, in fairness, but they had signed some of the most famous people in the world to be endorsers. Leonardo DiCaprio, Drake, Robert Downey Jr., Cindy Crawford, Cindy Crawford's daughter, all people who endorsed this climate change company that planted trees to zero out your carbon footprint, like good guys, only for those same good guys to have since been embroiled in what has been concurrent Department of Justice and SEC investigations that have resulted in guilty pleas by one of the co-founders of the company, a prominent Democratic politician and donor named Joe Sandberg, who happens to have also been a buddy of Steve Ballmer. And Steve Ballmer, in this story, we establish and report using over 3,000 documents and 7 sources from inside the company, putting $50 million of his own money into Aspiration. Very long windup. I apologize for taking so long. Here's the punchline. The endorsement deal that was the biggest, that Aspiration signed, given all those A-list Avengers, happened to be Kawhi Leonard. $28 million, more than 4 times the rest of the celebrity roster combined. And the kicker, you might argue, is that he didn't do anything. It was a no-show job, did nothing, wasn't obligated to do anything, which we can explain if you want. But the point being, it was a secret deal that no one knew about until now.
NBA have anything to say yet?
Not yet. Not yet. I should say Steve Ballmer and the Clippers, when we asked them for comment, they said that this was provably false, that they denied it. They did not know at the time that we had over 3,000 pages of documents and 7 sources. I look forward to them proving the falsehoods that they allege. I can tell you, though, from the NBA perspective, what I've been told this morning is that it's been a bit of panic over there. I'm told that they did not know about this deal between Steve Ballmer, or at the very least, between Aspiration and Kawhi Leonard, with the influence of Steve Ballmer, according to our reporting, being the driving force of it. So, yeah, it's going to get a little messy, Dan, over there, I think.
What rule did the Clippers break?
So salary cap circumvention is something that the NBA has decided to, in previous statements, take very seriously. So Kawhi Leonard has only signed max contracts. So signed the first one coming off of Toronto. The extension in 2021 is what lines up with the timeline here that we are explaining, the $28 million above and beyond the max deal he signed. He signed another extension just last year. And so the thing here is, and this is, I think, a bit of the character study, Steve Ballmer is the richest owner in all of sports in the world. He's the 6th richest man on the planet. And so if you know anything about how the Clippers have operated, right? The Intuit Dome, a building, as he says, built in his own image for hardcore basketball fans like him, using personal, private money, no taxpayer funds. He is a guy who's expanded his front office, hired a zillion people because that is uncapped. You can spend all of the money on that. But the most important thing this hardcore basketball fan needed, of course, taking over the team from noted bad guy Donald Sterling, is a franchise superstar. And so the rule alleged to have been broken here is that cardinal rule. You got to stay within the salary cap for your actual players. And 7 sources say that was deliberately what was not done.
But was there a way that they could argue that Kawhi Leonard did represent the company? He was a name that was attached. Like, I'm just looking at, if I'm the Clippers, how do I get deniability?
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard because typically, there's this funny phrase in courtrooms. You hear like, the absence of evidence is not evidence. Well, in this case, he was endorsing a company. And the absence of evidence is the absence of any endorsement. No tweets, no retweets, no favorites, no likes, no appearances, no nothing. According to the internet, according to the sources we have, nothing.
Excellent. So you heard what he had to say, right? So I had to watch that yesterday. There's an even longer show where he discusses it, where he breaks it down. I haven't seen that full show, but I think it's important because maybe some people may be a little bit confused about what's going on here. Well, it seems like Mark Cuban has been doing some serious due diligence, and he feels like Pablo Torre is going to get himself in trouble here because he doesn't really seem to understand the full scope of this story. So what we want to do now is we want to actually get into what he had to say here on Twitter. So this is a post that he published yesterday, and it has 6.5 million views. And he said the following: This is Mark Cuban. I'm on Team Ballmer. As much as I wish they circumvented the salary cap, first, Steve isn't that dumb. If they did try to feed Kawhi Leonard money, knowing what's at stake for him personally and his team, do you think he would let the company go bankrupt? Knowing all creditors would be visible to the world? Now, what he's talking about there is maybe people that invested in the company, the creditors, people that gave the company money. So he's saying if Ballmer was aware that this information was going to come out, because when a company goes bankrupt, that's when you start kind of peeling through the layers to understand what led to this, with all of this stuff, the creditors, then he would be a part of it. So if anything, he would have ensured that the company stayed afloat, even if they weren't making turning a profit or anything. Mind you, this is the richest owner in the sports in the world. He's amongst the 10 richest people on planet Earth, right? So him giving that company money, it's like he wouldn't even lose a second of sleep over it. Continues on. They got scammed by Aspiration, along with many others, crimes for which they pleaded guilty last week. Scammers do scammy things. They did a $300 million sponsorship deal with the Clippers in 2021. That's a huge deal. The better the team does, the more valuable the sponsor has. The more value the sponsor has. It actually makes perfect sense that if they stole money from investors and want the Clippers to succeed, why not give the stolen money to help keep their best player? It's sad that Pablo Torre didn't take time to find out how these scammers pulled off their scam. The idea that the default is Ballmer is the bad guy is going to backfire on him. Now, if you go a little bit further down, you'll see a picture of Mark Cuban posting an image of Aspiration in the Clippers dome, and you see them right there into a dome. And it says, LA Clippers signed $300 million plus arena sponsorship deal with Green Bank Aspiration, whatever. It then goes a little further down. He posts again, U.S. probes firm tapped to turn LA's new basketball arena green. You have that. Then there's a press release from the Justice Department. And I'm not going to read through it because this is a very complicated case, at least to me. And then one person posted, did you watch the entire podcast and see the literal mountains of evidence? Cuban then responded by saying, I did. How much did they discuss that Aspiration was run by scammers? How much did they question that maybe they could be behind this? So this is what Cuban is saying. Now, there's another aspect to this, and I want to just say this quickly. I don't fully understand what's going on here. Pablo and these guys spent months researching this stuff. Cuban has been reading up on this stuff a lot more than I have because our lives are totally different. But there's an article here from Yahoo Sports that says Kawhi Leonard reportedly paid $28 million for no-show job with the Clippers as a way to get around a salary cap NBA investigating. Then you have this part where it basically said the Los Angeles Clippers and owner Steve Ballmer accused of paying star Kawhi Leonard $28 million for a no-show job as a way to circumvent the NBA salary cap, according to a report by Pablo Torre. An NBA spokesperson told Yahoo Sports on Wednesday that the league is aware of Torre's report and is commencing an investigation. Torre laid out, so it went on there. They even spoke about a little bit further down in the article. It says Torre attempted to find any evidence that Leonard ever marketed for or endorsed the company, but came up empty. A clause in one of the contract documents between Aspiration and KL2 Aspire LLC stated Leonard could decline to proceed with any action desired by the company, essentially giving Leonard the ability to get paid without doing anything. Another clause stated that Leonard would only be paid if he remained a member of the Clippers. Now get this. Correspondence from Aspiration to Kawhi Leonard's company was sent to Dennis Robinson, Leonard's advisor, who was investigated by the NBA in 2019 for asking for impermissible benefits. The NBA completed that investigation into Robinson, also known as Uncle Dennis, and found no evidence the Clippers granted illegal benefits to Leonard while pursuing him in free agency. So, where am I going with this entire show here, segment here? We have what was reported yesterday, which was Kawhi Leonard is a dirty guy because he accepted money under the table, essentially. And Ballmer is a dirty guy because he facilitated Kawhi Leonard receiving this money. You have that part of the story, right? And then the Clippers being probed and all of that. Then you have what Mark Cuban is saying is like, no, bro, there's a deeper layer to this. They were dealing with scammers. Ballmer wouldn't be this stupid to do something like that. Now, if in fact these guys are scammers, then we now have to ask, who was involved in the scam? Was Kawhi Leonard part of the scam? No, or maybe he was unaware of it. And that they may have scammed some of their clients. You have that aspect of it. And then you have this last part, which is, well, is Kawhi and these guys a bad guy? Now Stephen A. Smith referred to his uncle and all this stuff in the back and the past, requesting this and that. But now we have this report saying that they did an investigation into all of that during 2019 and they didn't find any issue. So what I'm saying is the case hasn't been concluded yet. Yesterday, we all came to the conclusion that, oh, Kawhi Leonard is this, Steve Ballmer is this. But what we're finding out is that there's more information that we don't have. In fact, we're basing a lot of our opinion based off of Pablo Torre's findings. And Cuban is saying there's more to the story. And we're just reporting that.